Annyeonghaseyo. Hello, all my beautiful people. How are you doing today? Welcome to the alternate point of view. My name is Tracy Lee, and I am so happy that you have found this channel. And if you are new to this channel, welcome. If you are coming back, welcome back. I am super excited that you are all here. This is a channel where we are here fighting for justice, and we cover trials, and we also talk about tragic events because tragic events fascinate me, as tragic events fascinate a lot of people, which is really weird because it's like watching a train wreck. Seriously. But what we are talking about here today is murder on Joliet Place. This is a murder that happened in Detroit, Michigan on October 21st, 2023. And we have been talking about this for quite some time now because it is a murder that, for me, is unsolved. Even though there has been a trial going on for over a month and the jury has returned its verdict, and most of the verdict was deadlocked, which means there was a mistrial. So why am I continuing this series? Well, because like I said, for me, this is unsolved. And the person that was on trial, Michael Jackson Bolanos, who, by the way, I invite everyone to buy me a coffee down below at buymeacoffee.com/RACEY0000. Or you can Cash App me as well as down here on the banner, because all of the proceeds are going to go to Michael when he gets out of jail. And I say when because he is going to get out of jail. That is my speaking it out into existence, because Michael did not do this crime. So I am trying to raise money and awareness for someone who is wrongfully convicted of the horrific murder of the beautiful Samantha Wall on October 21st, 2023. She was the president of the Isaac Agree Synagogue in downtown Detroit. I always have to start off these videos with this information because a lot of people don't go back to the beginning and watch where I started this entire series. But Samantha Wall was murdered and attacked and murdered in her own home on Joliet Place. And this happened in the middle of the night when she returned home from a wedding. And I have several theories, conspiracy theories, tinfoil hat theories even, of who possibly could have done this to her. Could it have been an ex-boyfriend who made some very strange comments like this? And let's just say it. I'm having a panic attack. I'm convinced that I may have murdered my girlfriend and I don't remember it. I have the motive and the opportunity. I may be trying to outsmart people. Who says that? This is what Jeff Herbstman said to police on November 8th, 2023, just a few weeks after the death of Samantha Wall. Now, he would go on to say that he doubled up on some medication, smoked some pot, and somehow, some way, this made him confess to murder. Now, I don't know about you, but I have made some pretty poor choices in my young life when I was younger. Not now, because I'm not young now. But when I was younger, and I know along with some other people who have made some pretty poor choices, probably experimented with some things, did some stuff, put things in your body that you probably wouldn't do now, knowing better, right? But I'm sure there's nothing that you've put in your body that would ever make you confess to murder. Yeah, I just don't think so. I'm pretty sure that even in some of the interrogation videos that I have seen, I literally just watched an interrogation video of a woman who put her child in a car. Her daughter had cerebral palsy and seizures. She was 13. She was immobile. She put her child in her car, and the child died of heat stroke because she was in the car, in a locked car, for hours. Now, the mother was on methamphetamines. Now, have people been on drugs and done things? Yes. Have drugs made people do things like methamphetamines or heroin or something like that, like caused people to do crazy things? Yes. But has pot ever made you confess to murder? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure pot is one of those kind of drugs that makes you like eat a lot. Like you just are hungry all the time. You just have the munchies. You just want to like eat, or you just want to like lay or like relax, or you just like talk a lot. Like I'm talking right now, like a lot. But you don't confess to murder, and you aren't eloquent enough to say that I'm outsmarting people or that I have the motive or the opportunity. You don't think quite that clearly. So I I know I'm beating a dead horse with these videos of this murder on Joliet Place, but I can't help but doing that because the jury came back with a deadlock on the burglary and the felony murder uh, intent because they didn't feel convinced that the prosecution proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And it's odd because some of the feedback I have heard is that the jurors weren't convinced that Jeff Herbstman actually was very relevant, that his testimony was even relevant, even though he was given use immunity, which is very odd that they didn't seem convinced by Jeff or even thought enough of his testimony or even thought enough of his use immunity. So that makes no sense to me that they didn't even consider that. Have any of those jurors ever had a panic attack, like a real life panic attack? I'm hoping that the ones that held out are possibly ones that have had a real life panic attack. I've been over this before in my past videos where I have discussed the medication that he was on. I've discussed that if a doctor actually tried to wean him off Trintellix and wean him on to the Albrelti medicine, I think that's what he called it. That is not a thing. You would never mix those two medications, and that doctor should lose their medical license because that's not how it works. You can actually just stop taking Trintellix altogether. The other medication that he was taking, again, I will say again, it is supposed to be a faster working medication to get into your body faster than, say, like a Prozac or a Zoloft. That is the entire point of that medication, but it only happens in less than 20% of the people that take that medication. So it's not as fast working as they make it out to be, but it is faster into your system than, like I said, a Zoloft or a Prozac that takes 2 to 4 weeks to get into your system to see a difference. So he wouldn't have noticed quite a shift. Now, probably in the time frame, if he claimed that he started taking this medication, now if he'd started taking this medication in October, and let's say by November 8th, it was in his system, he could see a change, but it wouldn't be like confessing to murder change. It would be like, oh, I feel the effects of this medication. Yeah, okay, I'm feeling a little better. Okay, it's working, it's working. But not like, oh my God, I'm having a panic attack. I think I killed my girlfriend and I forgot all about it. No, that's not how it works. So I'm stuck on this Jeff Herbstman more and more. I'm also still not going to give up on the fact that there is still a lot of money involved. Now, whether that money has to do with Samantha's murder or not, or whether the money has to do with the cover up of Samantha's murder, one of the two. Regardless, there's money involved. And the money is flowing on the prosecution side. And the money is not flowing on Michael's side. So all I can say is come Thursday at noon, the prosecution is going to enter that courtroom with a decision. And that decision is going to be whether or not they're going to retry Michael Jackson Bolanos. And that will be an injustice. Or if they are going to go in there and say they are going to not retry Michael Jackson Bolanos, and they are going to keep looking for the real killer of Samantha Wall. Now, if they're real prosecutors, if they are really out for justice, then that means they are really going to dig and find out who really killed Samantha Wall. Now, I have requested information about the case, but due to the fact that this case is still obviously in trial and now a mistrial, I cannot get that information. I have been denied. That's okay because I want them to search for the real killer. But are they going to do that? So we have many options. Again, we have Jeff, the ex-boyfriend, who had pictures of him and Samantha scattered throughout his house. Jeff, who was very tight and curled up in the witness chair, very standoffish, very mousy, very quiet. We have Brett Foreman, who is just, I'm going to call it like I see it, and he's weird. He had some sort of strange obsession with Samantha, who was clearly way out of his league, but yet he was talking about if he were to kill Samantha, how he would have done it, and left the friend that he was telling that to very freaked out, and I believe her word was terrified. Terrified. We also have the gay best friend who had so many, many names that he gave to police, including David Wilkinson, that I'm going to keep bringing up because he was supposed to spend the night with Samantha that night. But we haven't heard a word from David Wilkinson. Nobody has heard a word, not a peep, not a blip, not a nothing. And why is that? Because David Wilkinson is still. I apologize for my camera going out. So excuse me for that. Somebody told me we were getting bad weather, and apparently we really are. So again, back to Jeff. Jeff says, I'm having a panic attack. How do you know you're having a panic attack? So Samantha gets home. Apparently, she comes home from Interstate 94 from a wedding. I don't know where Interstate 94 is. Anybody in Detroit, you can tell me. They said she left the wedding alone and appeared to be her normal, happy, joyful self, according to other wedding guests. She arrived at her townhouse about 12:30, and about half an hour later, her security system, which by the way was not on, it's just showing motion, alerted that her front door had been left open. We've discussed this, and there was no evidence that it was ever closed. And again, that is because those two magnetic little things were not meeting. At 1:02, again, we've discussed this. She sent a heart emoji to who? David Willington. And her phone stayed on for half an hour, and she unlocked it again, and her Netflix app was open and up and running. So she was apparently watching Netflix on her phone. Again, I will say that we have had people who have run the route that supposedly Michael Jackson Bolanos was on, saying that he was on the bridge, that she was supposedly, according to her ADT, according to the prosecution, she was supposedly asleep on her sofa in a hoodie and fully dressed, and motion was captured at 4:20 a.m. and at 4:22 her her motion sensor goes idle, as we've said, and then you see at 4:23 you see Michael Jackson Bolanos over a quarter mile away on the I-30 375 bridge. So several people have briskly walked and ran this distance, and it is virtually impossible for him to have stabbed her 8 times in the head at 4:20, had a big scuffle in her house, all around her house, kitchen, hallway, living room, front door area, and her to have managed to have got out of her house, all of that, and him get to the I-375 bridge all within a matter of 2 minutes. So, I mean, he's in good shape. Bless his little heart. He has little chicken legs. He's a tall, lanky guy, but he is in good shape. But I mean, I don't think he's in. And now keep in mind, he also grabbed a backpack out of the bushes. So he stabbed her 8 times, beat her up, had this tuffle in the house, ran down the basement steps. Oh, that wasn't a good idea. Ran back up the basement steps, ran back through the house, ran into the bushes, got a backpack, and then somehow got to the I-375 bridge, all within 2 to 3 minutes. Man. I mean, so you had time to go into a townhouse that you were intending to rob, right? You see someone sleeping on the sofa, and instead of walking back out, you decide, wait. You know, this is a great idea. I think instead of leaving, I'm going to beat the crap out of this person and stab them to death and have a fight in the house. And then, you know what? I got to get this backpack that I left in the bushes. And let me get to the 375 bridge. Yeah, that's the plan. It really baffles me that any juror in a jury room could just look at that little bit of information right there and have been hung and deadlocked at all. It baffles me that they could hear the words come out of Jeff Herbstman's mouth saying, I confessed to killing my ex-girlfriend, but I don't remember. I was outsmarting people. And that statement right there, not give you enough reasonable doubt to not be a hung jury, to not say not guilty. I can't fathom a jury sitting in a room with a man's life in their hands and a woman's life's justice in their hands, thinking to themselves, we can't decide. I mean, make that make sense. And where I really believe that some mistakes were made in this hearing, in this trial, is Samantha, I'm not going to say what the prosecution could have done better. What the defense actually could have done better. I love Brian. I think Brian did an excellent job. I love the defense team, period. They did an amazing job. But really just humanize Michael a little more. Michael needs to be seen as a person, as a guy who literally was just walking downtown Detroit. He was a person. He is a person. He is someone who was literally at the wrong place at the wrong time. Samantha wasn't at the wrong place at the wrong time. That's something the prosecution got wrong. She was in her dang house. She wasn't anywhere at the wrong place at the wrong time. She was doing nothing. She could have been hanging out with a guest. She could have been letting someone out. She could have been waiting for someone, but she was clearly with someone, waiting for someone, or one of those things, because she was fully dressed. That is something that people need to question. I don't understand why not enough people are questioning that. And I'm not going to stop harping on that either. And again, I'm not going to stop harping on the neighbor dog. I'm not going to stop harping on that, because what kind of dog? So, also, was her door actually fully open? No police officer could get up there and claim that that door was opened by them or opened by the neighbor, or who was the door opened by? Was it left open when Samantha crawled out to go try to save her own life? Who was the door opened by? So, again, there's still way more questions about this incident than there are answers. And the prosecution didn't put forth any answers. So I'm very curious to see what is going to happen on the 13th, on Thursday. Thursday matches 13th, huh? Not really. Thursday at noon, when the prosecution goes back into the courtroom after they have discussed this with Kim Worthy, who is the district attorney, what they will say when they decide if they are going to retry this case. Also, will it be before the same judge? A lot of people are asking that. I imagine that it will be before the same judge, since they are going before the same judge to decide if they're going to retry it or not. But I think there's too much reasonable doubt here. I believe that the prosecution does not have the case that they need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And I believe that they see the error of their ways. And I think that they would have to put together a much, much neater case. And they would need a lot more time to do that. And I don't believe that if they decided to do this case again, that they should be allowed to have the time to do that, because they've already put it on one time. If they're going to do it again, they better hop two and be prepared to go again. But I also don't think that Michael Jackson Bolanos should be in jail while they're waiting for the prosecution to put their case back together. I mean, it's like Humpty Dumpty fell off a wall and you couldn't put him back together again, because this is that type of case. I pray for Samantha's family. I pray that Samantha finds justice. I pray that Detroit gets together. I pray that all of Detroit comes out on Thursday to protest this case. I hope and pray that people will be standing at the court steps on Thursday protesting for Michael, justice for Michael, justice for Samantha, but free Michael Jackson Bolanos, because this is a farce. This murder on Joliet Place happened by someone Samantha knew, and it is being covered up by all the money that Samantha raised and all the money that is still being raised on Samantha's back. I'm telling you, just go to the Isaac Agree Synagogue website, picture after picture after picture of Samantha, and of course they want to remember her. Of course they do. She was a wonderful person. She fought for justice. She fought for the Jewish community. She fought for everyone of all kinds, all walks of life. That was the type of person Samantha was, from what I hear, from what I understand, from what people have said about her. I do not know Samantha. I just know from what I have seen online. So I am purely going off what they say online and from the couple of people that I've spoken to about her. But for all intents and purposes, Samantha was a beautiful person and she deserves justice, but she deserves the right justice. So, what happened on Joliet Place? We need to know. We need a crime recreation. We need someone to invest in that. We need an actual autopsy report, a completed autopsy report. We need a actual estimated time of death. We need something and something not based on the ADT system that is 30 seconds off, by the way. We need actual testing of her organs. We need all of that. There's so many questions that are unanswered that we need answered. So that is why I believe this case cannot go back to trial. Also, we need to think of why this used to be national news, why Court TV just picked this up last week. When Michael took the stand, it became interesting because cases aren't interesting, right, until the defendant takes the stand. So Court TV finally picked this up, even though this was national news when it was a Jewish synagogue president that was killed 2 weeks after Hamas invaded Israel. And then dust in the wind after, it wasn't anything about Hamas invading Israel. Never mind. Just kidding. Now it's just another random black guy walking the streets of Detroit. Another white woman dead. Psh, no biggie. Yeah, nothing like that. Whatever. It's an election year, people. It's a Democrat city, Democrat money. So don't get it twisted, people. Okay? That's just is what it is. So you're telling me that these people that have invested all of this money into downtown Detroit to gentrify it or whatever, my boyfriend says I always say it wrong, I don't care, pushing people out of their homes and making downtown Detroit more inviting to more people with money, who has money, I wonder. But yeah, so anyway, everybody bleeds red. This I know. It doesn't matter what color you are. We all bleed red. But you know what makes the world go round? Green. Green does. Green makes the world go round. And who has the green? Anyway, again, I'll say this for the 100 millionth time. The White House had a press conference about this very murder. Where's the president now? Oh, that's right. He's sick. He's sick. He's also very old. So I'm pretty sure the death of Samantha Wall is the very last thing on his mind. He has a country to run. But he's sick right now, so he can't do that. KJP held a press conference about this. She said the president was watching this and monitoring it very closely. So closely that this channel, among a couple of other very small YouTube channels like myself, are the only ones talking about it. Other than Court TV, who finally woke up. Yeah. So, anyway. But they're not talking about it for the right reason. Just so you know, Court TV is not trying to raise money for Michael. They're not worried about Michael's future. No one is worried about Michael's future and what's going to happen to Michael when he gets out of jail. And no one's worried if Michael is doing okay. Okay? I am praying for Michael every day. All of my viewers are praying for Michael every day. And we are also praying for Samantha's family. So don't get it twisted. We are worried about the victim as well. We're worried about her family. We're worried about if they find justice. This whole series, everything is to figure out who actually killed Samantha. Is it the ex-boyfriend? Said the very words that put him in the place of Samantha, saying, I'm having a panic attack. I'm convinced that I may have murdered my girlfriend and I don't remember it. I have the motive and the opportunity, and I may be trying to outsmart the police. His words, Jeff Herbstman, who was giving use immunity to get on the stand and say it so that Michael Bolanos could be put in the defendant chair and be charged with Samantha Wall's murder. Make that make sense. You guys, I don't know how many more of these episodes I can do regarding Samantha because they are getting, I know, repetitive. I apologize. I will have another episode special coming up later. But I just want you all to know that Samantha was a beautiful person. Michael is a beautiful person. These are two beautiful people's lives who are ruined, and the wrong person has been held accountable for something that he did not do. Samantha lost her beautiful life, and her legacy lives on, obviously, but to what price? To whose price? So I hope that you will all please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell so you can hear any new news coming up. And don't forget, if you like this content, please go back and watch the other videos prior to. I can go on and on about the conspiracies and the thoughts that I have about this situation. But if you like this content, if you want to hear more content, I will have new content, I promise. But I am not going to give up on Michael. I hope none of you will. I hope you will all be ride or die for Michael and ride or die to find out who killed Samantha. So if you like this content, again, please buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Racy0000. All the proceeds go to Michael for when he does get out so he can start a new life. I am trying to raise money to help Michael because he is going to need that to start over and start fresh. It's not much, but every little bit helps. I don't have a lot yet, so I'm hoping that more people will catch on and the awareness will be raised. I appreciate all of you very, very much. Thank you so much for listening to this series. I hope for more updated news coming up in the future. So we will be covering more upcoming trials, yes, and we will be hearing hopefully some more stuff about what's going on with the Samantha Wall murder on Joliet Place. I appreciate you all. Thank you. Kamsahamnida.